Hi, welcome back to the show. What we're going to be looking at today is how to extract numbers from text. So if we look at this example, we've got a few addresses, and what the user wanted was to just get all the numbers out of there and put them together. Sort of a weird case, but that's what he wanted. So let's take a look at how we can solve this using Power Query. If I go over to my sheet and click in the address, just any one of these cells, and hit Alt-A-P-T, that's going to load our table into Power Query. So what's the first thing that we want to do? We want to add a custom column. And I'm going to name this custom column numbers. Now what we're going to do is we need to load each one of these characters into a list. That way we can look at each one of them individually and do what we need to do. So the way we do that is we say text.toList. It's going to take one argument, which is our address. And if we click OK, we can see that we get a little preview, and that's what we were looking for. Each character is in its own row in a list. And I'm going to get rid of this changed type because we don't need that. That's an automatic step added by Power Query. Yep, delete it. And I'm going to rename this step numbers. And if we edit it, what we want to do now is we want to look at each character individually and see if it's a number. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to say list.transform. List.transform, the first argument is going to be our list. And then what we're going to do for the second argument is going to say each. We're going to go through each value in the list. If value.is, I misspelled value. Value.is, value.fromText. And this little underscore just means it's a little shorthand to refer to each item in the list. So if the value from text from the list is of type number, then return that item from the list. Else, give me a null. Click OK. And we can see that all of our text in the list has now been converted to nulls, but we're still getting the numbers. So we're getting close to the answer here. Only thing we have to do now is combine everything. So we're going to say text.combine. Text.combine, that's our text, and the second argument is our delimiter. We could separate them all by spaces or commas, but he wanted them all together, so we're just going to pass in an empty string. Click OK, and now we've gotten all the numbers out of our address. Now this is nice to be able to do this, just bring up a table and type all of these formulas in there. But what we really want to do is be able to use this over and over in a custom function. So we're going to look at how to do that right now. Now, first of all, we've got this table.column. That's because we're actually adding a column here. Pay attention to that because we're going to be getting rid of that. We're just going to really be dealing with the code from here. So we can actually copy all of this. And what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the Home tab and go to the Advanced Editor. Now these are all the steps that we took. I'm just going to give ourselves a little bit of space, and I'm going to write val, which you could write anything there. We're just naming a variable that we can reference later. And we're going to say as text because it's coming in as text. You don't necessarily have to type it like that. You could say just val, and that would be fine, but I like to be explicit with what kind of variable I'm using. And then we use the arrow syntax to let Power Query know that this is going to be a custom function. Now if we look at the first step, we're referring to our workbook and the name of the table, and that's not what we want to do anymore. We just want to look at text, and the text we want to look at is the variable that we just named. So we're going to say val. I'm going to say the source is equal to val. And We copied everything that we needed from our formula there, so I'm just going to paste it. There we go, text.combine. But here it's actually looking at the column from the table. We want to just replace all of that with source, which is really just our val. Well, no. We want to reference source. We have to reference the previous step. And that what I meant was its source is val. They're the same thing. So if I click done, I can now rename this custom function to getNumbers. And let's go to close and load. Now if we look at the queries and connections pane over here, we can see that we've got a custom function called getNumbers. Now if I go back to our original table, I can hit Alt-A-P-T to load it back into Power Query. And now instead of going through all of those steps, we can go to add custom column, but it's going to be invoking a custom function, the one that we just made. So down here we've got a drop-down box. It's the only custom function we've made so far. And it's asking us, do we want to type in text or pass in a column? We want to pass in a column. Address is the only column that we have. Click OK. Great. Now it's done that for us, and we can go to any table now and use that same function over and over to extract numbers from a column. But we might want to do a little bit more than that. Maybe we actually want to get the text out of there as well. Well, that's actually really easy to do now that we've taken the steps that we have so far. So if we go over to our query pane, we can just copy our custom function. And I'm going to rename it to getLetters. And if we go up to the Home tab, to the Advanced Editor, you can see that we're saying if it's a type number, then just return that thing, else return a null. So what we can do to get letters is just flip those around. You say if it's a number, then give us null, otherwise give us the item in the list. And that's it. Now we've got our getLetters function. So if we go back to our table, we can invoke a custom invoke the custom function again. This time we've got two functions to get letters. We're using the address column again. And just like that, we've got custom functions that we can use over and over with any tables and be able to extract the letters or the numbers. So we can go back now, close and load to. We're going to put it in the existing worksheet. Put it in F1, click OK. And there you go. So we'll take a look at another example here. And this is exactly what this user is asking for. He's got all of these account titles and numbers in here. And in column B, he just wants the text. And in column C, he wants the numbers. So let's see how that would work with our new functions. So I'm going to select this table, hit Alt-A-P-T again. Alright, that loaded it up. Let's invoke a custom function. First we'll say getLetters. Great, that's exactly what we wanted for column B. Now let's go to our other custom function, which is getNumbers. Oh, there it is. And we're still looking at that first column. Now, this isn't quite right. You know, if we look at what he was looking for, he actually wanted to retain the separator there between the two account numbers, if there were two. So that one isn't really going to work for us. So let's take a look. Let's actually just make a copy of that getNumbers function. And get numbers 2 is, I guess, just as good a name as any other. And we'll go back to our table. And let's get rid of that last step. And let's go to our new function and figure out what we have to do to make this work. So what we're saying here is if it's a type of a number, then give us that item. Otherwise, give us a null. But we can add more stuff in here. We can say, or if value.fromText underscore is equal to a /, then give us that. Easy enough. Hit done. Let's see how that works. Nope, I've got an error. What is this error? Oh, I guess I don't need the if there. Okay, go back to our table, and we'll invoke the custom function again. This time, get numbers 2. We're still looking at that first column. And it's really close, but it's not exactly what we're looking for. It's pulling in that first / that's separating the U and the A in this first column. So we could keep screwing with our custom function, but we can actually just use the user interface to get around this. It's pretty easy to deal with. So if we go to transform, we can split this by delimiter. Power Query's smart enough to realize that what we're trying to split by is the /. We're going to do it by just the leftmost delimiter. And here we go. Now it's split everything, but it's also added that step that we don't like where it's changing the types on us. You can see like it's screwed up the account numbers. It's trying to give us scientific notation. So we'll get rid of that step. Now this isn't what we really wanted, so we got to figure out how we can combine these things. And one problem is we've got this null here. We want to get rid of that because we've got blank spaces over here, but we have a null over here. So let's just right click up here and go to replace values. And we're going to replace nulls with nothing. So in replace with, I just leave it empty. There. Now all of our blank cells are blanks and we don't have to worry about nulls. So we're going to add another custom column. And what we need to say here is, if we look at the first one, if get numbers 1 is blank, then give us get numbers 2. If get numbers 2, actually we don't have the other one, so we don't have to worry about it, but we'll be explicit. If get numbers 2 is blank, oh no, we do have it. If get numbers 2 is blank, then give us get numbers 1. And if they're both not blank, then we're going to say give us both of them separated by a /. So let's do that. If get numbers 1 is equal to a null string, then give us get numbers 2. Else if get numbers 2 is equal to blank, then give us get numbers 1. Else, so this is our only other option where both of them are not blank, then give us get numbers 1 and a / and get numbers 2. Click OK. And this is what we were looking for. So let's just do a little bit of cleanup. We can get rid of these 2 columns. Remove columns. And we can rename this. Get letters, we'll call this account title. And we'll call this account numbers. Numbers has an N. And now we can go up to the Home tab, close and load 2, existing worksheet. I'm going to put it right here in column D. Click OK. And this is what he was looking for. He's got his original column. He's got column B that has all the text. He's got column C that has all of the account numbers. And there we go. So I hope you've enjoyed learning how to extract text and letters from an alphanumeric string using Power Query. We're going to look at how to do it with Visual Basic and using just regular Excel formulas in episodes coming up. So look out for those, and I'll see you guys next time.